The Chinese Communist Party wants to control global resources, markets, and information so that it can control the world. Beijing pursues this ambition by leveraging non-market industrial policy through which it subverts critical supply chains and networks, a strategy of military-civil fusion through which it turns that positioning into a forward-deployed military presence, and a program of state-sponsored data collection through which every Chinese company and component becomes an asset for influence and espionage. Transportation systems are a core part of this Chinese strategy. Beijing defines transportation systems as part of the military-civil fusion ecosystem because they're necessary for industrial operations, social functioning, and military mobilization. For that reason, China protects its own transportation systems domestically while looking to penetrate them internationally. Transport systems also represent a massive economic opportunity. The US auto sector, for example, alone accounts for some 11 million jobs and $1.2 trillion of national output a year. Beijing wants those markets. Beijing also wants the military-relevant tech and industrial capacity that undergirds them. But China wants something else from transportation systems too. Today's technological trends are pushing the transport ecosystem toward an intelligent, connected, data-is-everything paradigm. In that environment, every foothold in a transport system, whether that's a component or a piece of software or a vehicle, becomes a possible backdoor. Everything is a computer. China is hacking all of it. For this reason, China's presence in US transportation systems, A, threatens US industry and supply chains and markets, and B, grants Beijing access to critical information on American society, the power to influence that information, and therefore society, and the ability to disrupt the foundational networks on which our country depends. This isn't a notional danger. It's not something that's on the horizon. Our system is already embedded with Chinese components, and we're already under attack. LiDAR offers a valuable example. Autonomous vehicles use LiDAR to map their surroundings. Airports use it to track movement and crowds. Bridges use it to scan for defects. China controls 90% of the world's LiDAR market. The Chinese entities that are leading this charge are companies like Hesai, RoboSense, Huawei, DJI, that the US government has already identified as tied to the Chinese military. Those Chinese military-tied companies sell to GM's Cruise and NVIDIA's Drive Hyperion. Their LiDAR sensors have been installed in JFK International Airport and Charlotte Douglas International Airport. Chinese LiDAR sensors are on intersections in Chattanooga and on drawbridges in Sarasota. Every purchase of a Chinese LiDAR sensor funds the Chinese Communist Party. Every Chinese LiDAR sensor risks collecting information on behalf of Beijing, and all of them could be turned off at China's command. This isn't a unique case. LiDAR is not isolated. The same story plays out across the broader ecosystem of components that go into modern transportation systems, whether those are IoT modules or optical transceivers or cameras. Moreover, moving beyond the component level, Beijing is also building out the platform and software level of modern transportation. China is the world's largest player in in-car AI agents. Beijing's also developing unrivaled global shipping and transportation and logistics solutions, like, for example, LogInc, a Chinese national platform that provides a centralized window into the otherwise fragmented world of global shipping under the Chinese government's control. Washington needs to stop further Chinese penetration of our transportation systems. Those efforts can start with direct restrictions. No company that uses Chinese components or software or those made by a Chinese-influenced entity should be eligible for federal procurement, federal tax incentives, or any other federal incentives. In establishing restrictions like that, Washington should also tighten and clarify FIOC and PFE rules to make it clear what it is that is a Chinese entity and to make that a stricter definition. Targeted measures like this can directly bolster the security of American transportation systems. But Washington should also take broader action to change the state of play that has allowed China to embed itself into our critical infrastructure systems. Tariffs on Chinese goods can help dissuade the US private sector from buying from Chinese entities and therefore from being complicit with the Chinese Communist Party. Tariffs can also create the circumstances in which to rebuild a trusted American industry. On the data front, no company that stores data in China should be permitted to collect data in the United States or be eligible for federal procurement, defense industrial-based procurement, federal tax credits, or other incentives. And Washington should leverage trade deals to compel U.S. allies and partners to enact their own defenses against China such that they don't serve as conduits for the Chinese Communist Party. It might seem impossible now to think that China could supplant American giants like FedEx, like Boeing, like Ford. But that scenario is on the very, very near horizon. Should it come to pass, China will claim a determinative advantage. Washington needs to fight back.